everyone. Welcome to another edition of Nightly Scroll. I'm Haley Carania. Happy Monday night, everyone. I just want to say, before we get into tonight's show, that I can't be held accountable for anything that I say tonight because I'm not in the right headspace. I'm not in the right headspace because I walked in here. One of the first things I saw on my set was a lizard. I said, "What is that?" One of the first things I saw, "What is that?" I saw it move. So now I have camera one on our lizard friend. I don't know if he's a girl or a guy or whatever he is, but I'm not happy about it because I don't like bugs. I don't like anything like that. And for a moment there, we saw him and then he disappeared. That's the worst. When you see a bug or a spider and then you're like, oh no, it moves fast or it has wings and I don't have eyes on it anymore. That's the worst part. You know, that anxiety that sets in? Well, I have that right now. Look at his little sticky fingers. You see that? Disgusting. And Andy thinks it would be really funny if he fell on my head or on the desk during the show.
Live TV. I
don't think it would be very funny. If you think that the eagle screech is loud, you would need to go to the hospital. Your eardrums would be blown out. You would not be in good shape. The scream that I would let out, if the lizard fell on me or the desk during the show, we would not be in a good space, and neither would you. So people in the chat think he's cute. Good for you. Probably because he's not in the same room as you, and there's no chance that he could fall on your head. Anyway, so I can't really think straight. Andy was trying to ask me questions before, and I was like, do you see the lizard? Do you see the lizard? So that's why I asked him to put camera one on it so we could keep an eye on it during the show. And then if he... I hate him. I'm sorry. I hate him. I hate him so much. I don't. This is like you zoom in close and that's when he just like scurries off. I freak out. I don't like him. And anyway, so I can't be held accountable for anything I say on this show tonight because like I said, I can't focus on anything. I'm thinking that he's watching me. He's plotting something. So anyway, just want to give everyone a reminder to go to the Bungie No Report channel and make sure you're subscribed. Rumble.com/Haley is where you can watch my show. And it's the only place you can watch this show. We are Rumble exclusive. You can watch live Monday to Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, scroll with the homies, all of that jazz. If you want to watch later on, you can do that, or on your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows, just search Nightly Scroll with Haley, and you can get all the fun content whenever you want at your fingertips. All right, the FBI doubled down on their claim that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. So, is it time to take the tinfoil hat off, or is there more to the story? I will give you my take. Then two absolute freaks of nature are turning this catastrophic, deadly flood in Texas into an opportunity to flaunt their TDS and their obsession with race. It's really gross. Then a Florida drug dealer's welcome mat said, "Come back with a warrant." So the local sheriff did just that and then posed for an epic photo op. We'll get into it later. I've got a fun scrolling time segment on deck. All that and so much more on Nightly Scroll. Getting a lot of questions about my insurance. And no, I am not covered by Geico. I am covered by State Farm. So maybe that's why this little lizard or gecko decided to make an appearance. But I'm not sold, I'll tell you. I don't like being scared. So not a good tactic. I'll say that. Is he still there on Cam 1? Andy was saying he's just a chill guy. He's not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. He was moving a lot more before we started the show, but maybe he's just scared. Maybe he just wanted a front row seat to Nightly Scroll. I can't.
No, he's hanging out. He wants to hear what the podcast is all about.
Okay, well, let's get into it. So the FBI released an exclusive memo to Axios claiming they have no reason to release the tens of thousands of videos they claim to have on Epstein with underage clients. They also maintain there is no evidence of a client list, and they claim that Epstein killed himself on August 10th, 2019. Now, conservative conspiracy theorists like myself, I like to put on my tinfoil hat at times. I'm not going to put it on right now, but, I keep it on deck. we are batting 1,000. And we're used to batting 1,000, whether it's Russiagate, the Hunter Biden laptop story, 2020 and 2021, big years for conservative conspiracy theorists. We were like, we were right all the time, right? It was the lab leak theory. It was, the jab being safe and effective, 6 feet apart, masks work, 2 weeks to slow the spread, Biden being in tip-top shape, all of those. And we called out every single one of them. And then we were censored on social media by big tech and big social media if we dared to call them out. And we did. We're unafraid to call out the government when we think that they are wrong. We have always been unafraid, and we should keep that spirit up. Asking questions is how we hold the government to account. We have to keep encouraging free thought and free speech. Free thought, by the way, also means challenging yourself to think outside of your echo chamber. And as you know, I do the Tinfoil Hat Time segment. I love conspiracy theories. I believe most of them. And, last week we had a few videos of unidentified aerial phenomena, and we had some UFOs, and we had a weird looking Jesus crown in the sky.
The smoke ring crown.
And I always take the route of, if we can debunk it, let's debunk it. And if we can't, then we have grounds for a conspiracy theory. And all conspiracies are born out of the lack of transparency. When the government or whoever doesn't give us answers, that's when we start coming up with our own. So we have to not just blindly believe what we want to believe. We also have to be willing to admit, and this goes for everything, I'm not talking about Epstein, if and when we are wrong, and if and when we are presented with solid evidence that proves us wrong, then we have to come to grips with that, whatever that means. So the FBI released this video, hours of video showing that nobody was coming in or out of the area where Jeffrey Epstein was held on the night that he died. And obviously, you all know these details. The cameras were malfunctioning, of course. And we don't have all the footage because they didn't have the backup footage either. And then the guards were asleep, and then they were distracted. If they were awake, they were distracted to their computer. One of them was scrolling on the internet or whatever. Epstein was supposed to have a cellmate, and then he didn't. And then the guards were supposed to check on him every 30 minutes, but they left him alone for hours because they were sleeping and then scrolling, whatever. The footage of Epstein's first suicide attempt was deleted in what authorities have called a clerical error. Then the guards attempted to falsify documents saying that they did check on him every 30 minutes so that they wouldn't get in trouble for sleeping on the job. Now, most people would say, wow, that's BS. Because it's too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. It's not just one coincidence, by the way. How many did I just list? 10? How can there be such a perfect shitstorm when it comes to one of the most high-profile criminals in history, one with a ton of public interest? It makes you think, were the guards in on this? Did someone conspire with the Manhattan Correctional Center to carry something out, or at the very least, allow him to kill himself? But as a conspiracy theorist and a healthy skeptic, you have to ask yourself, I know this sounds crazy, but is it possible? We always ask ourselves these questions. I know it sounds crazy, right? People call us crazy for believing conspiracy theories. So then if we can challenge ourselves and our thinking in that way, then I think we also need to be able to challenge those same theories in the opposite direction. If you can prove it right, you have to be able to prove it wrong. You have to just question if you can ask yourself the same question. Does that make sense? For example, is it possible that someone killed Jeffrey Epstein? Based on this perfect storm of everything going wrong, it just seems like it's too good to be true. Most people, including myself, would say, yes, it's possible that someone killed him. Because if the guards were asleep or they weren't paying attention and no one was in his cell to stop him and all this stuff, that it has to be possible, right? But then we also have to ask ourselves, and I'll be honest, I never really asked myself this question because with the perfect shitstorm that went on, it's so easy to be like, someone obviously killed him. Because that's what like all of the evidence seemed to point to. So now I'm just being like totally transparent and honest with all of you. I don't know where I stand and I'm a little confused, honestly. So let me ask myself the same question. Is it possible that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? And the answer to that question is also yes. Of course, it's possible. Because the same perfect storm that has led everyone to believe that, Hollywood elites rolled up and whacked Jeffrey Epstein, that's the same perfect storm that left Jeffrey Epstein alone long enough to kill himself, right? Like that also has to be true. If the cameras were broken and the guards were asleep and all these things, he could have killed himself under those conditions. Even if the guards were awake, even if the guards checked on him every 30 minutes like they were supposed to, he still could have killed himself, right? I mean, I'm playing this out with you in real time. Like, I have believed this whole time that someone killed Jeffrey Epstein. Or at the very least, there was some kind of corruption going on that, I don't know. I honestly, it all seems so crazy. Like, I don't know what to believe. But now I'm asking myself, is it possible that he killed himself? Of course it is. And I'll admit, it's way more fun to be on the other side. It's way more fun and salacious and juicy to think that the most prolific pedophile in the entire world was killed by some cabal of elites who didn't want the truth to get out. But if someone was so concerned with the truth getting out that they needed Jeffrey Epstein dead, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell still alive? Because by that same logic, you would need them both dead. And you would need to kill everyone involved. And that's obviously not going to happen because that would raise eyebrows, which brings me to the client list. The FBI claims there is no client list. And I'm trying to think about this logically and not get my own bias and what I have thought for these last 4 or 5 years. I'm trying not to think about that. I'm trying to be unbiased, although that's very difficult. I think maybe we've seen these flight logs on X. Names of, Tom Hanks, John Legend, Chrissy Teigen. I don't know. Who else was on the list? Bill Clinton. You name it, right? We've seen all these names. And for the last 4 years, we've been left to our own devices to just dream up whatever scenario we wanted to. Because there was no confirmation from the government. And I think because we saw the flight logs, we assumed that there was a client list. But now I'm thinking, what criminals are consciously leaving a paper trail of their crimes? Not many. So I can be convinced of that. It's not like there's a bouncer at the door of Epstein's Island with a checklist and an order form of what girls they ordered and what their name is and what time they showed up. That probably doesn't exist. So I can believe that there isn't a, quote, client list. However, you have to ask yourself, they claim that there's footage of Jeffrey Epstein. Is there not footage of other people? Can they not get the other people? So I can also believe that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to commit suicide. We obviously know that the first suicide attempt, the video of that was deleted because of course it was, right? The whole thing is so absurd. So of course we don't have footage of that, which makes me think too, who at Manhattan Correctional wanted that deleted? Did they want it deleted because it looked bad? Or was it really they just hired the dumbest idiots on planet Earth to work there? I don't know. But again, that's just another thing that's part of this perfect storm where, the guards were sleeping, the cameras were broken, this was deleted, the backups were deleted. It all sounds so stupid. Is it possible that they just hired the most incompetent retards ever? I guess, but it just doesn't seem likely. But I can believe that Jeffrey Epstein wanted to commit suicide because, like I said, one of the most prolific pedophiles in history. And, pedophiles don't do well in prison. So I could understand Jeffrey Epstein wanting to end his life because he's sitting in a jail cell coming to grips that he committed the most disgusting crimes that you could possibly commit. Everyone wants him dead. And he probably felt pretty worthless. So I can believe that he wanted to kill himself. I can believe that the same perfect storm that allowed me to believe for years that someone killed him could also leave the door open for him to kill himself. Again, I'm coming to grips with this at the same time as all of you are. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but I'm willing to keep an open mind. That's where I stand right now. And, now with Jeffrey Epstein dead and Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, these are the remaining questions for me because this is not over. Like, I'm not taking my tinfoil hat off right yet. I'm not ready to do it right yet. I want to know who Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell trafficked children to. That part of the equation has not been addressed. And I don't understand, like, they didn't abuse all of these women and children by themselves. We don't have the client list, but we had flight logs. Here's what I don't know. Is the FBI investigating all these people and we just don't know? I don't know. I don't know. And it also, again, raises questions to me about Manhattan Correctional Center. Is it possible, because I haven't thought about this really since before this morning. Like, I just started thinking about this morning. So I'm kind of going through the whole conspiracy theory and all of my new thoughts now. But I had never thought that there was any other outcome other than someone killed Jeffrey Epstein. I had never thought about that. So now I'm thinking about, what about Manhattan Correctional? Were the guards tipped off? Did they know that Jeffrey Epstein was on suicide watch? They knew that he wanted to commit suicide. Obviously, these guards are dumb and horrible at their jobs. Is it possible that they were tipped off? Is it possible that they were helping Epstein? Like, these are questions that come to mind now that I'm thinking of other options. And I'm just being honest. Like, I really didn't think about this before because I wanted to believe that he didn't kill himself. So, it wouldn't surprise me if the guards were bribed. Both of these guards, by the way, got sweetheart deals. They didn't go to jail, and neither of them work for the Bureau of Prisons anymore. So we'll probably never find that answer out because it seems like the DOJ and, everyone's just like done with this. It's like, yeah, like that's what it seems like. It's like, here's like, we've come to this conclusion that there's, no foul play. He killed himself. And like, I still have questions that I feel like at this point, I don't know if we're going to find them out, but I'm wondering like how the system got so corrupt and broken. Our prison guards and people all the way up at the top at Manhattan Correctional, are they overworked, underpaid? Is that why corruption happens? Is this all by design to let people of certain influence off? I don't know. Like, this all ties into Diddy too. Like, Diddy's there and it just seems like his charges get, dropped, and I don't know. Like, it just seems like if you're a pedophile in this world, you get off scot-free. That's what it feels like to me. And I know, like, I don't love talking about this, but I've talked about it on the show before, that I was molested when I was younger. I testified against my abuser, and he was found not guilty. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, he was guilty. So I know, I've experienced this firsthand, that horrible people who do horrible things, they aren't held accountable. I think that the justice system is completely broken. We can't rely on it. I think it's just a scam. I genuinely think it's a scam. And I think this boils down to expectations versus reality. Because for the entirety of Biden's presidency, conservatives thought, well, this is the reason why we're not getting this information. So for 4 years, we heard nothing. And the least transparent White House in history allowed our minds to run wild. And we believed that once Trump is president, it'll all be different. And Attorney General Pam Bondi and her binder stunt did not help with the public's perception of how they handled this at all. That was our first impression of Trump's second administration handling Epstein. And that was a disaster of biblical proportions. So they misread the room big time when we asked for transparency. That didn't mean delivering old redacted Epstein files to DC Drano and libs of TikTok. That's not how any of us wanted this to go down. So then Attorney General Pam Bondi teased tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with underage girls. And in this memo that they released today, they mentioned those same tens of thousands of videos. Obviously, I can understand not releasing them because it's CSAM and it's child porn and it's wildly insensitive for the victims. I can understand that. But what happened to those? Is it just Epstein on the videos, or are there other clients on the videos? Are their faces not in the videos? Are there other ways to identify people? Who else is implicated? I still have questions. And then, AG Bondi claimed that the field office in the Southern District of New York was blocking documents from her office. I don't know whatever happened with that. So that botched handling was everyone's first impression of how the Trump administration or his second administration was handling Epstein. That is very hard to come back from. So now Trump's administration, they can't go back and find footage that doesn't exist. So if it was deleted by morons at Manhattan Correctional, okay, I don't know how. Maybe there's a way to retrieve deleted, and then back up videos that were deleted. I don't know. I guess not. So, I don't expect Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino to find footage of an incident if it never happened. That's not their fault. But I would also imagine that other investigations that were started under Biden's DOJ would have to either be thoroughly reviewed or thrown out and redone. Real life is not a Criminal Minds episode. It doesn't take 20 minutes plus commercial breaks to figure this out. So, I thought recently about all of these recent cases, like Karen Reed, that was 2022. They just came to a conclusion recently. Same with the Idaho University murders. That happened in 2022. They just came out with something recently. Diddy. All these high-profile murder cases and high-profile cases, it takes time. So, Diddy's been in jail for a year already. He's going to be sentenced 3 months from now. These things take years. And there are keyboard warriors on the internet saying, it's been 4 months. Why isn't Hillary Clinton in handcuffs? And it's been 4 months. Why haven't I seen sitting Senator Adam Schiff get perp walked? I think these people need to manage their expectations and ask themselves and be honest with yourselves when you answer it. Are you upset with this information because you wanted it to be different and you're unable to let go of your strongly held beliefs? And are you a little cocky because we political conspiracy theories, we have always been right, and potentially this is the first time we've been wrong? And I just want to say, I don't blame anyone who answered yes to that question. I don't blame anyone, by the way, who will go to their grave believing that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. And I can honestly tell you right now, I don't know what to think. But I also want to be very transparent with all of you. I have not spoken one word to Dan since he left here in March. Not one. Not a text, not a phone call, not an email. Justin came up to me at church yesterday and said, hey, did you see Dan? I didn't see him. I didn't know that he was there. So I didn't talk to him. And Silverlock hired me to host this show and say whatever I think, even if it's critical. I have full editorial control over this show. I have never once been told to cover something or not cover something. I'm not afraid to be critical. I just was. I have in the past. But I'm also open and willing to think critically about new information. Like, I was honest with you today. I had never thought that there was really any way that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. Like, I really didn't. And I have to be honest, like, this is very difficult, but I'm trying to like unpack my bias and look at this differently. And unfortunately, we have all been conditioned to absolutely hate the government, and I hate the government along with you. And we have been conditioned to distrust the media at every turn. So I will never fault a fellow conspiracy theorist for staying true to what they believe in, ever. I just hope that we are all willing to challenge ourselves when necessary. But that's really all I can say on this for now. I feel like I need more information, and there isn't, and I don't know if we're ever going to get more. You know?
No, it's a hard thing. I think like one of the things that this administration has had to do is, number one, regain the trust of the American people, which was tarnished under previous administrations, and that's its own Mount Everest.
I don't think it's possible.
That's its own Mount Everest.
Like, I genuinely don't think the American people will ever trust the media ever again. And I don't think that the American people will ever trust the government again. And I've been very critical. Like, I don't trust I don't care who's in charge. I don't trust the government. The government is capable of horrific things. And I don't think that the government ever has our best interests at heart, even when people with good intentions are in there.
And, you know, the other thing...
I love Trump. I voted for him 3 times. I love the guy. I think that he has picked wonderful people to be in his corner and be in his cabinet. But I still don't know if they can fix it, you know?
It's a Mount Everest. I mean, these things, so many things were mismanaged, and so many things were gaslit to us as we're watching. I mean, you know, COVID is another great example. Like, you know, like you mentioned earlier in your sort of monologue when you were going, it's like we could see what the R naught was during COVID. We could look and see what the percentage of people that were getting sick and passing away was. We could read all of that information, but yet we were we were told that if we didn't have it, I mean, you know how it runs down. Everybody that paid attention knew how it ran down. But
that's the thing.
That's
with
not
Epstein.
The science of it.
Well,
so we were being told one thing, and then but that goes on and on and on. And now here we are looking at an administration that's trying to rebuild the American trust, and we're getting presented information about something that was gripped by America.
Right.
And then, you know, we want to believe it, although difficult. It's a process that this administration and hopefully forward administrations are going to have to put at the forefront. And I think transparency is one thing that Dan is continuing to talk about. And if you follow his X and you see all that like live, but this issue's tough because he did such a horrible thing that
Epstein.
Yes, Epstein, that we want, you know, we want to know. America wants to know. America wants to know if the players behind it.
To your point about COVID, though, and I think that, you know, COVID turned a lot of people into conspiracy theorists. I was probably a conspiracy theorist before COVID, but COVID really, I mean, that red pilled a lot of people, and it opened a lot of people's eyes to, wow, our government hates us.
Here's the difference, though, Haley. COVID was black and white. Jay Bhattacharya and people like that were blowing the whistle on what the science was.
This is what I'm getting to. Like, COVID opened a lot of people's eyes to the fact that the government hates us and the government lies to us. And the reason why our eyes were open to that was because we could see the evidence being the exact opposite of what they were telling us. Like, they were telling us, like Biden was telling us that if you didn't get the jab, you were going to endure a winter of severe illness and death. And I'm sitting here unvaxxed, living my best life, healthier than ever. I'm going to the gym. Then it's like during COVID, I was living in New York City. My gym wouldn't let me in unless I had a vaccine card at one point. Then the gym would police you. They would make you put a mask on the treadmill. And I'm sitting here like my own common sense is telling me this is bullshit. How is this making me any healthier? It's not. How can we, in the beginning of the pandemic, they were like, it's okay to be outside. Then it was like, well, now you need to have your mask on. Like they kept changing everything. So nothing made sense. And Fauci said, use PPE. And then it was like, actually don't, because we need that for the nurses and all this stuff. Like they just kept changing the goalposts. And that's how everyone realized these people are liars. I'm trying not to curse. These people are like liars. And with the Epstein thing, we're not privy to this information. That's the difference where like it's harder for me to be so convinced in my thoughts because it's not like COVID where you have your own personal experience to fall back on and you could say like these people are spitting in my face. Like it's not the same. This is another right-wing conspiracy, right? They always call us conspiracy theorists. But this one, like, we really have to have full trust in what they're showing us and telling us. And I think people are not ready for that.
The one question about this Epstein thing that keeps coming to my mind is the current administration has the ability and, the calling and the forthright to make decisions based on what they see right now. And based on how corrupt we know previous administrations were, even how long it took to get stuff from New York to Pam Bondi in D.C.,
right. Well,
how much information
I don't know.
have they not seen because it's gone?
Right. And that I feel like we'll never know.
That's why it's gone.
And that's why, Cash was saying on Joe Rogan, he did the interview with Joe Rogan saying, we found like lock boxes and, rooms and closets where things were. And I don't know, like I have to trust that these people are telling us the truth. And that's very hard. It's just like, it's a very difficult place to be in. But, the New York Times ran this hit piece. If you want to throw up this headline here. Trump's politicized FBI has made Americans less safe. And, this is the editorial board. This is not supposed to be, a facts first article. But, the subheadline read this: the Trump administration's political witch hunt is risking the Bureau's effectiveness and the public's safety. Which I just wanted to say, to use the word witch hunt, that Trump really kind of like regained that term, kind of. That's not the right word that I'm looking for, but, to use the word witch hunt and political witch hunt, the New York Times never called what the Biden DOJ and New York Attorney General Letitia James, they never called what they did to Trump a witch hunt, which is how we know that they're just totally full of it. They always have been and always will be. And I think, Trump has been hunted down politically and legally for the last 9 years. And now we have federal law enforcement agencies that are tasked with undoing what the Biden administration did to make us unsafe. One of those is opening the southern border to whatever, terrorists, traffickers, everything. So the New York Times is claiming that changes being made at the DOJ are making us unsafe. But again, it made me think of the interview on Joe Rogan with Director Patel when he was saying, we're putting agents in the field rather than keeping them all huddled in DC because that's where they think they can get promotion. So they're waiting in DC for promotions, and we don't really need the agents in DC. We need them in the field so that you can actually fight the bad guys. Like that's what they're supposed to be doing. So I feel safer knowing that DHS and DOJ are working together to find terrorists, gang members, traffickers, pedophiles, like other violent criminals, rather than the DOJ going after President Trump, who's not a threat. And the left's new narrative is that not only is, Trump's politicized FBI is making us less safe, but also Doge is making us less safe. So I'm going to get to that in just a second, but I want to tell you about Helix. After a long, busy day, I look forward to coming home and sleeping on my Helix mattress. It has completely changed the game for my sleep. No more tossing, no more turning or restless nights. Helix Sleep is an award-winning mattress brand that has been the essential reason why I wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on a new day. You know, a good night's sleep is one of the best ways to have a better quality of life. So visit helixsleep.com/Haley, that's HAYLEY, to get started. If you're dealing with snoring, sleep apnea, back pain, or even if you sleep too hot, Helix Mattress can help you figure out which mattress will work best for you. And once you get your mattress delivered, I just had mine delivered, you can finally get some comforting sleep. And right now, Helix has an exclusive offer for my listeners, 27% off site-wide. That's right. Just visit helixsleep.com/Haley to get 27% off site-wide, exclusive for my listeners. Once again, that is helixsleep.com/Haley. Are we going to give a little lizard update here? Is he still there? Oh. Still, I feel like he hasn't moved since the beginning of the show. Maybe he liked my rant and he wanted to stay. I don't know.
He's a fan.
His toes are so spread out. It's really creepy. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. He was moving and grooving before the show, and now he's just stuck there. And I can't see him from where I'm sitting, so that's not making me very comfortable. But anyway, let's get into this whole is Doge making us less safe thing. So Doge is obviously a money-saving effort, but it's more than that. It's exposing where money is actually going, and the left doesn't want to see that part, right? They just want to believe that Doge is evil. So they see headlines that Doge is cutting thousands of workers from XYZ or cuts funding from XYZ. They start freaking out. Oh my gosh, cuts to Medicaid, cuts to SNAP benefits. People are going to die. When in reality, Doge has exposed that so much of this funding doesn't even go to what it's supposed to go to. Like how government grants are going to fund circumcisions in Madagascar and Sesame Street in Pakistan. I don't want my money going to those things. So when the Trump administration cuts 1,000 workers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and made cuts to the National Weather Service, then there's this catastrophic and deadly flooding in Texas. People start pointing fingers. So can you pull up an updated death count? Before the show, it was at least 95 people were dead, dozens still missing, but we'll get you an updated number on that in just a second. But devastating flash floods slammed the Texas Hill Country. This was the Guadalupe River. It rose to the height of a 2-story building overnight. Okay, so updated, at least 104 people are dead now, and that death toll is expected to rise. So the Guadalupe River rose 26 feet within 45 minutes. And again, this all happened in the middle of the night when people were sleeping. This was early Friday morning, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And several experts have said that the National Weather Service did a solid job about warning about the flooding. The Weather Service said that they started flash flood warnings early on Thursday night, and then early in the hours on Friday, they were giving more lead time than 3 hours before the warning criteria were met. So the blame game began regardless of all of that. I think this is just a horrific tragedy. It was a natural disaster. You can only do so much. I think the fact that this happened in the middle of the night while people were sleeping did not help. It did not give people, they were caught literally asleep. Like, there was no way for, if they had fallen asleep at 10 p.m., they wouldn't have gotten these warnings. And I did also, people were saying, oh, but there wasn't service in the area. Weather alerts do go out to people even if they do not have service on their phones. So these alerts were going out. However, if they weren't awake to see them, that doesn't help. Then I saw people saying online, oh, they should have put like tornado sirens, but that would make everyone go inside. That doesn't help. So it's like, people just start saying shit and they don't know what they're saying. Like, That's not helpful. That would have actually hurt more people if they had done something like that. But I understand people, it's coming from a good place. Like, how could we have woken people up and alerted them? But that it wouldn't have helped. Anyway, I think people just kind of like spiral in these moments where there's tragedy and everyone wants to do the right thing. But that's just what it is. It's just a tragedy. And these things happen and the government can do the best that they can. But this is, they have to deal with what they're dealt with at this moment. So, I will say you can blame the government for not warning people. In this case, they did warn people. You can blame the government when they fail to respond to a disaster in a timely manner. What you can't do is blame Trump because you hate him. You also can't victim blame because you think they voted for Trump, and that is exactly what this pediatrician did. So Dr. Christina Probst, I guess is how you pronounce her last name, she was a practicing pediatrician at Bluefish Pediatrics, and this is what she wrote online on social media. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. Pretty disgusting thing to say. That you don't wish death on pets and children, but you do wish deaths on people who voted for Trump. And then on Sunday, Bluefish Pediatrics, where this pediatrician was employed, announced that she is no longer employed, and they posted a statement saying, this weekend we were made aware of these social media comments from one of our physicians. This individual is no longer employed by Bluefish Pediatrics. They had already put out a statement. They made another statement, and essentially, in part, they said the post that you put on social media does not reflect the value, standards, or mission of Bluefish Pediatrics. So, of course, they had to come out and slam this because it's disgusting. And she's not alone. There was a former Democrat city board official in Houston. She posted this video. Fox News had it because it was deleted. Watch this.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all-white, white-only, conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period.
So that was just part of the video that she posted on social media, but she's blaming people for caring about this story because the kids were white. And she went on to say that Hispanic kids, if they were Hispanic kids or any other minority, people wouldn't have cared about this flood. Are you insane? Like, seriously, are you out of your mind? So then, do you have this video? So another TikTok user pulled up some comments on that girl Sadie's World video. So Sadie's World was the TikTok account of this former Houston city official. And this TikToker posted a video and she had some of the comments that Sadie's World was making because this video has been since deleted. So let's play this so we can read some of the stuff that she said.
She further said, if you ain't white, you ain't right. You ain't getting in, you ain't going. And then look at these sick comments she would post when people were commenting up under her videos. Girl, you brought this upon yourself, somebody said to her. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. Sadie has the nerve to say, consequences for what? Maybe it was God's will to wash them little C-U-N-T-S away. I am irate. Then somebody said, pray for Mystic at church tomorrow. And she said, hell no. How can one be so sick in the head? Seriously.
Yeah, so that's Sadie Perkins. She was no, not the woman in the video. Sorry. The woman who said those disgusting things. Sadie Perkins, former member of the Houston Food Insecurity Board. She made those claims about the Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas, that was completely flooded. Lots of those campers, young girls, are still missing. So this woman used to work for the mayor's office. Mayor John Whitmire said she will not be reappointed to any board. She will be removed permanently from anything that she still sits on. So these people, whether it's the pediatrician who said, Trump supporters deserve this, or whether it's this former city board member who is just obsessed with race and claims that people only care about this story because they're white kids. They're so blinded by identity politics that they can no longer see humanity. To say that you wish harm on people because they voted differently than you is evil and dangerous, especially, by the way, when your frustration about cuts in funding didn't impact this instance. Meteorologists and experts said that the warning times were fine and they were able to predict this weather. They couldn't get the information to the people because they were asleep. That's like a conservative, by the way, saying that Californians who voted for Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom deserve to have their houses burned down in the Palisades because they voted for policies that made cuts to certain departments. We should not feel that way either. That's disgusting. Those comments are disgusting. Doesn't matter how you slice it. So I don't want any of my fellow Americans to suffer from natural disasters. And then to make it about race and religion, what difference does it make? If they were black Muslims, would it be any more less sad? Would it be any more of less of a loss of life? Of course not. It's a horrific tragedy. Floodwaters don't care what color you are, and they don't ask how you voted first. The same way the coronavirus doesn't go away past its curfew. So bad things happen to good people, and bad people are exposed for who they truly are when they can't put their differences aside to pray for innocent people who have died, and the families who are still holding out hope to find their loved ones, and the families who have lost everything. Again, you can criticize the government if and when it fails. If it doesn't prepare or it doesn't respond to a crisis properly, but you can only blame yourself for wishing harm on innocent people who voted differently than you or worship differently than you. That makes you a disgusting human being, truly. All right, we're at 47 minutes. Did we hit this Florida story and then get into scrolling time? All right, let's do this one more story. So I know we kind of did like a hard turn from kind of serious stories, but this is more funny. So the Flagler County Sheriff's Office was able to shut down 2 Palm Coast drug houses in 2 days. So here's the headline that stopped my scroll. Doormat says, come back with a warrant. So Florida deputies did. And there you can see the picture of the sheriff there with the doormat in hand that says, come back with a warrant. That doormat was on the porch of the drug dealer. So let me just go in. You could leave this up. I'm going to just go through the backstory here so people can know the full story. So this was a 5-month-long investigation into this drug trafficking organization. He went to 2 houses. So the first drug house, this was on July 1st. They found a fugitive with an active warrant for trafficking in fentanyl. Then he wasn't complying with orders to exit the residence. He was resisting arrest. Then SWAT team members found this drug dealer trying to exit through a bathroom window. Then they saw him trying to flush all the drugs down the toilet. They ended up finding fentanyl, drug paraphernalia, 7 cell phones at the residence, and he resisted arrest. So he was arrested for all those things, and he's being held without bond. Then they go to the second house, the second drug house, and at the second house, this is the house that had the come back with a warrant doormat. And they did. They said, hold my beer. I will be back with a warrant. And detectives arrested this guy for possession of meth, possession of drug paraphernalia, and he was also in violation of some probation for prior arrests. So he was obviously a good dude. But he was transferred to jail as well, being held without bond. So they caught these 2 drug traffickers, and, you know, it's awesome. Come back with a warrant. The sheriff had to take a photo with it. I love it.
Yes, I may. I may just actually come back with a warrant.
Yeah,
Thanks, pal.
I think I will. Yeah,
Let's
don't
make
mind
this
if I
official. Thank you.
do. Don't mind if I do. So I like that story. All right, let's get into scrolling time. Someone in the chat said, I was told to not flush drugs down the toilet because They can go into the water supply. Are you admitting to something in the chat right now? Here's a lizard cam update. He has not moved for the entire show, which makes me very happy because that means he's not, scaling the rafters and about to jump on my head, which makes me very happy. He hasn't moved. He looks a little sweaty, like a little slimy. Anyway, I don't mind. As long as he stays right there, he can watch the show, front row seat, live in studio audience, don't care, come one, come all. But don't touch me. That's my...
No, he hasn't moved. I mean, he listened to you. He hasn't moved. I was hoping we'd get a desk appearance.
I don't know. If he was on the desk, I swear I would freak out. I would rip this earpiece out. I would be out the door. I'm dead serious. Like, I show's over. I would be so far gone if that lizard comes anywhere near me. Anyway, let's go to video number 9.
These are my progressive parents who allowed a Trump voter over to our house on the 4th of July. This is what it looks like when fascism is hidden by complicity. I was threatened earlier to pay a bill because I'm speaking out against my progressive parents inviting a Trump voter over on the 4th of July.
She needs to be completely disinvited from the barbecue.
She needs to be put down, first of all. That's my opinion. If this was my daughter, you're moving out. Sorry. If you don't like who I'm bringing over. So let me just go. This is the context for this. This is a girl who's in college, a college-age, rabid liberal feminist. And she's sitting in her bedroom, which also my mom would yell at me if we had company over and I was holed up in my bedroom yelling at them with a megaphone instead of coming down and saying hello.
How many 19-year-olds just have a megaphone at the house?
She is an activist.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so
a must.
Let's just get into this for a second. So, this girl sitting in her bedroom like a loser, and like a rude loser, by the way, and she's upset because her very progressive parents invited over their Trump supporter neighbor for a 4th of July barbecue. It looked like there was 4 people sitting at the picnic table. I mean, relax. This isn't like they were throwing, it wasn't like January 6th round 2 in her backyard. This was...
It looked like the neighbors came over. That's about it.
The next door neighbors came over for a hot dog. This just goes to show that even the very progressive parents can be a little bit normal and have a conversation and share a hot dog on the 4th of July. The liberal daughter is like, no, I can't have these people over my house. Meanwhile, go move out on your own. Go get a job if you don't like it. So anyway, she got a lot of love in the comments, by the way, by liberals, but a lot of hate also. So she explained herself in this video. Watch this. 9.5. We don't have that? Okay. So anyway, let me pull it up on my, what's it called? Yeah, I'm going to get it. Let's see here. She explained herself. Let me turn my sound up on here. All right, you got it? We're going over to the iPad, people. Someone in the chat said, my 19-year-old did not agree with all my rules, so he moved out. Yeah. Oh, it turned off. Hold on. Here we go. All right, now you see it? All right. Are you ready to play this? Please hold. Okay. This is this rabid liberal explaining herself, and it all starts to make sense real quick.
Backstory on the whole situation with the 4th of July. For background information, I'm queer and I'm disabled. And these Trumpers who my parents had over are longtime family friends. I grew up with them. So I can't even really explain the amount of hurt and betrayal that I feel toward these people, and my parents are very well aware of this, and it's at the point where I do not feel comfortable whatsoever with them being in my living space. Yes, this is not my home, this is my parents' home, but I personally felt disrespected having these people over who quite literally betrayed my life. And unfortunately, my parents just can't see my perspective in this. So I was angry. I went into activist mode and I did what I did, and I don't regret it. But I want to say thank you again to everybody who's been supporting me and validating me and encouraging me through this.
All right, I'm done listening to that. But it all makes sense because in the first 5 seconds of her explanation video, she was just dying to tell you that she's queer and disabled. Then I scrolled back on her profile. Guess what? She realized that she was autistic earlier this year. Do you realize that you're autistic, or do you get diagnosed?
Make a 5-year plan for this woman. Like, what is projected in her life
Paid
in the next
protester.
5 years? I mean,
Paid protester.
that's it though.
That's
I
it.
mean, there's like,
She's
with
got
that
her
mindset-
megaphone. She's got her megaphone in the bedroom. She doesn't pay bills. She understands that she can't move out because she's disabled and queer. So she understands that she's in her parents' house, but she's also known this family her entire life. She said these were their family friends that she's known her entire life, but they betrayed her life because they voted for Trump. How did they betray her life?
how does this woman make friends? Like, how does she
At protests. They're paid.
That's really what we're looking forward
I
to
think so.
with a bunch of these people in the next 10 years?
I think so. All right, let's play number 10. This is a woman on TikTok who she makes voodoo dolls of President Trump, Vice President Vance, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Governor Ron DeSantis. Watch this. So there's the Trump one, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ron DeSantis, and JD Vance. She has little like pins that she sticks in them. And I'm wondering, is anyone aware of this? Is any law enforcement being alerted that someone is sticking voodoo dolls of President Trump? And
I'm still in shock from that girl before. Just crazy.
Could you imagine, going back to that, could you imagine, you know this girl your entire life, you're over your friend's house for a barbecue, and then she's screaming at you with a megaphone?
Yeah. I mean, that is just,
oh my gosh.
and then the justification of it in a post after. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh,
She says no regrets.
it makes me thankful that, like, I know normal people.
Someone said in the chat, going back to this last video, that it's not illegal to have voodoo dolls and poke them, which is, yes, understood. But if you are putting it on social media and millions of people are watching it and they're cheering you on, that's a little sick. I would say that all of a sudden, this is not just your weird effed up liberal hobby. This has become more of like a movement. And it's been so normalized to call for violence against our leaders. Obviously, we saw this all go down with the 8647. Like, all of this needs to be called out. Just because it's not illegal doesn't mean it's right, and doesn't mean that it's not going to incite someone to do something disgusting. We just saw border agents attacked they were gunned down in Texas. Like, these border agents, they are seeing plus 400% increase in attacks on them. So yeah, like, it might not be illegal to have a voodoo doll, but it's certainly not great that people are loving it on the internet and liberals are cheering her on, saying, can you make one of this person? Can you make what? Like, now this is spiraling into something much more evil. And,
you'd hate to think that would become normal at any time.
Right.
That would become normal.
Right. It's totally crazy. All right. I've got 2 pizza delivery videos. Or should we do... What should we do? Okay. All right. Let's do the last one. So I think it was the PGA Tour that posted this on TikTok, and I saw this. So PGA Tour was asking their players to go with Joey Chestnut or Usain Bolt. So let's play the video so we can get the question, and then we'll debate.
Just one 100 meters?
One hot dog, 100 meters.
Oh, Joey Chestnut, I think.
Well, Usain Bolt, because he could eat a hot dog pretty quickly. Well, how fast does Joey Chestnut eat one hot dog? 1.5 seconds?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, if you were to eat a hot dog, I mean, Joey Chestnut would be done by now by the time I'm going to say, oh, man.
Oh, both of them have to eat a hot dog and then run 100.
It's like at the starting line. So he's going to eat it so fast, he's going to get that head start.
Like swallow. Oh, I think Joey Chestnut, because I think Usain, even if he eats it as fast as he could and swallows, I don't see him eating it under 8-10 seconds. And even if Joey runs a 15-second 100 meter. So I just think like Usain eating a hot dog is going to take longer than 10 seconds.
He's probably running it still less than 20 seconds. I'm hard pressed to say I could eat a whole hot dog in 20 seconds. So yeah, I'm going Joey Chestnut.
I'm going Joey Chestnut.
I'm going with Usain Bolt. I'd still go with whoever's going to run faster, because I think one hot dog could get wolfed down pretty quick. Now, if you said 10 hot dogs and then run, obviously. But what's that number? When does it even out? Probably like at 3 hot dogs?
I think someone said 5.
You think
All right,
5?
let's have our own
Oh,
debate
for sure.
now.
Joey Chestnut would smoke him at 10.
So the question is, who you got? Usain Bolt or Joey Chestnut? They have to eat a hot dog and then run 100 meters.
Yeah, so they're both at the starting line. Gun goes off. They both have to eat
Hot dog, run.
one hot dog and then run to the finish line 100 meters away.
So Bolt's world record for the 100-meter sprint is less than 10 seconds. It's like 9.5 seconds.
Yep.
So this all comes down to how fast can Bolt eat a hot dog.
And you got to think the one of the players right there said it, like, you know, a really good, you know, 8th grader runs a 114 or 15 seconds. So like you're talking about this guy maybe running 17-second 100 meter. I don't know when Joey Chestnut sprinted last.
Right.
So 17 seconds. So it's like,
And he's not really in good. Joey Chestnut's not in great shape. He trains for what he needs to do. He trains to be a professional eater.
if Bolt can
But I don't know if
eat
he
a
can
hot
run.
dog in 4 seconds,
He wins.
I think he catches him.
I agree. I also think that Bolt, if he sees Joey Chestnut eat the hot dog, I think he can. I think because he's so competitive and he's a winner and he has that in him, he can make up the time.
Usain could probably swallow it while he's sprinting too.
What does everyone in the chat think? The pinned message is in my way, so I can't see what people are saying. How fast is Joey Chestnut?
You got some Joey Chestnut fans here, and you also have a Usain. You know, we got some Usain Bolt. You know,
Someone in the chat says, "Who cares? It's a fun conversation." Okay, we're having fun.
You care because you have these conversations
We're having
out
fun
by the
here.
campfire.
Relax.
You have these conversations. You know what I mean?
It's a fun hypothetical.
Hey, you
Relax.
ever wondered?
Have you ever wondered? No. And that's why we're wondering for the first time all together. It's a beautiful moment. I think I go Bolt. Guy, who do you think? Bolt.
Guy's going Usain Bolt.
And you're going?
I'm going to go Bolt. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. But it's got to be 4 seconds. He's got to eat the hot dog in 4 seconds.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said Chestnut at 5 hot dogs. Like you might have to even it out, but I think Chestnut's not that fast at running. So I'm going to go Bolt. And on that note, thank you for scrolling along with me tonight. If you want to catch the show tomorrow, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Haley is where you can watch Nightly Scroll every weeknight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't catch it, I get it. Watch it whenever you want or listen on your favorite podcast platform. You can follow me on social media. I'm going to post some behind the scenes of this lizard, and we're going to keep up with the lizard. We're going to come in here tomorrow. Is he still going to be in the same spot? You're going to have to tune in to find out. He's still there. So tune in tomorrow for the lizard update, and you can follow me at Haley Carania on most social media platforms, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.